Welcome to our compression molding instructional video. Compression molding is a process that uses pressure and heat to form a material into a desired shape. Thermoset materials are often used in this process because the heat and pressure allow the polymer chains to cross-link and form a strong permanent matrix. The steps of compression molding that are covered in this video are safety, necessary equipment, machine, mold, and resin preparation, molding cycle, mold opening and part removal, and of course cleanup. As you can see, the compression molding station is at the back of Western's Plastics Lab. Compression molding uses high temperatures to allow resin to flow and form a part. Be sure to wear hot gloves when using hot objects and working around platens. The high forces the press applies to a mold can easily hurt an operator that is not paying attention. Be sure to keep all body parts clear of the press when it is closing. These steel molds are quite heavy. Be sure to use proper lifting and carrying techniques when moving the molds. Any brass tools and the rubber mallet are located on the shadow board above the compression molding station. In the far left corner, the phenolic powder resin is located in a small brown barrel. All compression molds are stored in the cabinet below the workstation. For this demonstration, we'll be using the panel mold. Silicone mold release should be located near the compression molder. If not, be sure to check the rotomolding station or the flammables cabinet. And be sure to have a boat scooper handy. To turn power onto the machine, pull out the red stopper button. Flip on Platen 1 and Platen 2 heating elements. Set a desired temperature on the temperature dials. To decrease the time it takes for the platens to warm up, close the press to reduce heat loss by pressing the green buttons with two-handed safety control. Remove the mold of your choice from the cabinet below the workstation. 333 students can use the dish, tensile, or panel molds. Inspect the two mold halves for any foreign matter. If necessary, clean the mold using copper wool or by scraping it away from your body with a brass scraper. Spray the mold with silicone mold release. To apply the mold release, shake can well, then remove the lid. With the nozzle 6 to 10 inches from the surface of the mold, spray thin, even coats onto the mold surfaces. Apply mold release anywhere the resin will have contact with the mold during the molding process. Be sure to not spray it onto the floor as it is dangerously slippery. Once mold release is dry, close your mold by being careful not to slide the surfaces across each other. This could remove the mold release. To open the platens on the machine, press the yellow Open Clamp button. While wearing hot gloves, pick up the mold and center it on the bottom platen. Keeping all appendages clear, close the platens by using the two-handed safety control buttons. Be sure to keep pressing until the press stops automatically when it is closed all the way. To begin resin preparation, scoop a substantial amount from the barrel of phenolic powder resin at the compression station. Then grab your bolt mold scooper and head to the analysis lab. Please realize that there are some calculations of resin weight required for the basic molds directly on the compression molder. Place your boat scoop on the scale and tare its mass. Measure out the correct weight of resin based on your calculations. When you are finished, pick up everything that was brought into the analysis lab and return it to the compression molding bench. Be sure to not spill any phenolic powder. Now it is time to begin the molding cycle. Clear off your work area so that the hot mold can be placed on the bench, opened, and then filled with phenolic powder. The platens should be up to their proper temperature. Open them by pressing the yellow button. The next steps are to be done as quickly as possible while still using safe procedures. The purpose in doing them quickly is to not allow the mold to cool a considerable amount. Wearing hot gloves, remove the mold from the press and set it on the table. After opening your mold, it is time to get the boat scoop full of resin. Pour the resin into the bottom or concave cavity of the mold. Being careful not to spill, be sure to spread the resin throughout the cavity as evenly as possible. Carefully close the mold, being sure that it is properly aligned. Load the mold back into the compression molder. Close the platens by pressing the two green buttons at the same time and keep clear of the moving platens. Set the pressure accordingly so that the press keeps the pressure constant all throughout the cycle. Now that your mold is under pressure, set a timer to keep track of how long the mold is closed. Once your mold has been under pressure for the appropriate amount of time, about 4 or 5 minutes for phenolic powder, the mold can be removed from the press. With hot gloves, open the press and remove the mold. After placing it on the workbench, you can open the mold using only brass tools. Place them between the gap between the two mold halves. A rubber mallet may be necessary. Use caution when removing parts from the mold. The part may not be fully cured and may easily break. For best results, allow the part to cool before removing it from the mold. Using a brass scraper, get under the edge of the part and slowly pry the completed part up. The most important aspect of any project in the plastics lab is cleanup. Clean your mold surface with a brass scraper or copper wool, which is kept at the rotor molding station. Remove all plastic residues that remain stuck to the mold, and dispose of them properly. Once your mold is cooled off, return the mold to the cabinet. Return any boat scrapers to wherever they were found originally in the lab. Place any brass scrapers, pry bars, and the mallet in their proper locations on the shatter board. Place the silicone mold release near the back of the bench, and clean up any or all powder that was spilt and dispose of it in the trash can. Also, do not forget to return your hot gloves back to the rotor molding station drawer. And finally, flip platens 1 and 2 switches off and press the red stop button.